all of this to and throw it to Ori Goldberg. You're an Israeli political commentator. You're joining us from Tel Aviv. So I think you heard this information that we just got in the last few minutes. Number one, the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, saying we are returning Israeli residents to the north. Number two, the defense minister is saying we're moving into a new phase. Everything we do is calculated. Sorry, that's not a direct quote, but Hezbollah is going to have to pay a high price for everything we do. We're doing it in stages, and we're now focusing on the north. How do you read this? Or specifically, is there any way to read this other than Israel messaging that they're getting ready for a massive operation in Lebanon?
I would actually think so. I don't read either the Prime Minister's message or the defense minister's message as indicating a massive operation.
Okay.
First of all, there's the basic rule that if you want to shoot, don't talk. Israel has mounted its pager attack in Lebanon, true, but other than that, when it comes to war and to new stages and to dealing with the problem, all Israel has done so far is talk. Israel has offered no plans. Israeli leadership has offered no vision. The switch to the north is understandable. There are plenty of domestic Israeli interests that would benefit from the switch to the north, particularly the abysmal bleeding failure that is Israel's presence in Gaza. But as far as preparing for war, Israel has already prepared for wars in Lebanon. It has already embarked on wars in Lebanon. This doesn't look anything like that. Now,
okay.
That doesn't necessarily mean that...
So the defense minister is talking about a new phase in the war. What do you think that's going to look like?
I don't know. The defense minister, before the ground operation in Gaza began, the defense minister spoke very eloquently about various stages and how we would move from one stage to the other and so on and so forth. Pretty much none of that came true. This talk about calculation, again, the logic here is that methinks the lady doth protest too much. The more the defense minister talks about calculation and strategy, the less Israel actually appears to have any kind of strategic vision for a potential conflict. I would say that Israel is, well, at least its military and political leadership, is desperate for war because that is the only solution it sees for bringing back those 100,000 citizens who had been evacuated on Israeli government instruction, by the way, long before hostilities with Hezbollah grew. A war seems like the only solution, but the truth is nobody knows what this war is going to do. Nobody knows what this war wants to achieve. When you ask senior warmongers in the Israeli administration what this war is about, they will say, we're going to push them back 20 years. That means nothing. A new stage means nothing. The prime minister is one sentence message, which, by the way, sounds a little strange in both Hebrew and English. It's not a full sentence, and it repeats a clause that wasn't there in the original sentence. This all, to me, sounds like a lot.
Because I've been told in the past to look at the difference between specifically what Netanyahu says in Hebrew and what he says in English. I know this is only one line. Is there a difference? Are there different nuances in what he said in both languages?
No. There are no different nuances. It's just a very poorly constructed sentence and very untypical
what does that say to you?
Prime Minister Netanyahu. It says to me that this is all being concocted very hastily and demonstrates a general sense of despair in the Israeli leadership rather than force or commitment or any kind of focus. I think Israel is fading. Let's not forget that the General Assembly's resolution adopted today. Let's not forget news that Germany has decided to suspend arms shipments to Israel in general. Things are happening, and they're happening quickly. And all the prime minister has left are cliches. The defense minister, as I told you, throughout the duration of the war in Gaza has been saying exactly these things about stages and phases and planning and calculation. The last year has proven him to be, at the very least, inaccurate and at worst mendacious. So I wouldn't read much into it. When Israel wants to go to war, it goes to war. It doesn't look like that right now.
Okay, Ori Goldberg, Israeli political commentator, joining us from Tel Aviv this hour. Great to talk to you. Thank you very much, Ori.
Thank you for having me.
Hamze Attar is a defense and intelligence researcher. You're joining us live from Luxembourg. Hamze, you were breaking down for us possibilities, right? Working theories on what might have happened at the same time yesterday. Fast forward 24 hours, and there have been more attacks. They've been widespread. They've been in multiple locations across the country. And crucially, they have involved more devices. Yesterday, it was pagers. Today, it's a longer list. It's walkie-talkies. It's solar panel devices. It's handheld radios. And I think I'm forgetting one. What does all of that tell you?
It tells me that Israel has been working on this for a very long time. And it tells me also that Israel might, there's a high possibility that Israel didn't have the chance to do all of this, so it created a new reality. And by that, I mean, Israel in last February until March, they targeted several infrastructure for manufacturers in Lebanon that could replace batteries. They maybe suspected that Hezbollah would replace all the batteries when they come in from the local market. These factories are not related to Hezbollah, but they are in the market. They could serve. So actually, they took them out of the market. They destroyed most of these battery factories to create the reality that they are prepared for. So because of that they were not, there was no need for that. Hezbollah had their own communications with the batteries that they trust, and they've been working for some time. And Israel wanted to create a new reality, so they had to move the pieces of chess one by one to force Hezbollah to go into the black market, where the supply chain has been ready, with could be forged companies and for shipments. I've seen a lot of reports from several journalists that they talk about that the shipment went clean from the factory, and on the way, it was tampered by Mossad agents. It's not the
You don't believe that?
The right scenario, and no, it takes a long time to do this. You will be exposed. We are talking about yesterday only 5,000 devices. This is a lot of work. You have to open them, change them, and you have to seal them like new. This is not something that you do in 2-3 minutes, unless you are well trained, unless they've been training for a year to do this. But that was the story when we were talking yesterday, and we were talking only about pages. Today, it's a new reality, and this is what we had the exchange yesterday.
But what does, hold on, Hamze, what conclusion do you come to then? You're telling us, because I did speak to one analyst, who was looking at various sources and saying it looks like they planted explosives in a great many devices, up to around 5 grams of explosives in ways that just couldn't be detected if you simply opened up the device, right? You're telling us that's too labor intensive, and so that's unlikely. So if that's unlikely, tampering with the devices, booby trapping them, then how could it have worked?
No, it worked that way, but it's less likely that the Mossad did it themselves, because that would be very awkward. So you have, if the shipment is going from Hungary, let's put it with that. If it's going from Hungary and there is a transition in the middle, and it takes longer in that transition, of course Hezbollah would be suspicious, and especially if the country where the transition happened, where the roll off and roll on happens, it's not a friendly country to Hezbollah. Of course they would be suspicious. So it's way safer to do it from the factory. And if you think about it, in a country like Lebanon, where there is no electricity, where there's no reliable electricity, the most used devices in Lebanon are with batteries. So you know that there is a market for this. You know that maybe you can establish a company 5 years ago to work with this, because you know that this is the reality of Lebanon. If one is an intelligence officer somewhere, and they would think how to target the Lebanese infrastructure, and the Hezbollah infrastructure, actually, they would think about batteries, because this is the most common device in all Lebanese houses. It's not a stable country where you have electricity 24/7. There are batteries everywhere in Lebanon. You have one for the solar panels. You
Well,
have
Hamze,
power
on that
banks
point,
wherever you go.
and I'm really sorry to jump in, but I'm going to have to run. I want to get this in before I let you go. Does that mean that Hezbollah has to throw out anything that has a battery in it, and even more broadly than Hezbollah, that pretty much anyone in Lebanon has to be looking twice at battery-operated devices?
I would say yes. I would definitely say yes. I know that this is problematic for Hezbollah to do it during wartime, but this is the least that they can do. But it does not stop here, because they have to go after the third parties that they work with. They have to examine the devices. They have to trace. There should be some hard work by the forensics to know exactly how this happened. And was it clear from the beginning that the devices will be shipped from Hungary? Hungary has, as not as a country, but as the political party that is ruling it, and especially Orban, he has very good ties with Israel. So it is plausible that if it was Hungary, the country of origin, I would put a lot of question marks.
Hamze Attar, defense and intelligence researcher. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.